welcome to the Sunday Afternoon Magicians Deck Tech series. This is Damus, and today I'm going to bring you my Saskia the Unyielding Commander deck. There's a lot of ways to build this. The way that I have tuned this version is a Voltron deck. A lot of people probably don't go that route, but here it is. I wanted to try my hand, and this was probably one of the commanders I had that seemed like the most fun for it. So let's go ahead and get into it. Saskia the Unyielding is a 3/4 human soldier. Casting cost black, red, green, white. She has vigilance and haste, and as Saskia the Unyielding enters the battlefield, choose a player. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, it deals that much damage to the chosen player. So what you're going to do is Voltron her out, choose someone, hit them huge for huge numbers, and then whoever you chose, whether it be that player that you're attacking or another player, you're swinging damage all over the place. This deck is Voltron to an extent, but we're not going to just use Saskia. We have a couple other creatures that we want to equip a lot of equipment artifacts to. Let's go ahead and get into those. We have 5 other creatures that we really want to get Voltron-y real quick. And all of these cards, all these sections, I'm going to do in increasing converted mana cost. So first one, Sarah Ascendant, 1 white for a human monk, has lifelink. As long as you have 30 or more life, Sarah Ascendant gets 5/5 and has flying. It's a 1/1. So right there already, you're already starting off with this on the battlefield turn 1 as a 6/6, and then you start swinging, start hitting. As Saskia comes in on turn 4, hopefully, you're going to be kind of doubling that damage. Next we have SRAM Senior Edificer, 1 and a white for a 2/2 Dwarf Advisor. Whenever you cast an aura, enchantment, or vehicle spell, draw a card. So there's card draw built into this Voltron commander. He is a legendary creature, so he's normally a lot of people's go-to Voltron, but here he's kind of just a secondary. Another one who doesn't really fit the bill of Voltron, but I feel like it's going to get big enough that you can go ahead and do it, is Taurine Mauler, 2 and a red for a 2/2 shapeshifter with changeling. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may put a 1/1 counter on Taurine Mauler, so this thing is going to keep getting pumped up. Next we have Aurelia the War Leader, 2 red, white, white. So 6 casting cost for a 3/4 angel. She has flying, vigilance, and haste. Whenever Aurelia the War Leader attacks for the first time each turn, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. Amazing. So if you're hitting huge with Saskia or Aurelia or any of your other Voltron creatures, you're doing it again. Next we have Avacyn, Angel of Hope, 5 white, white for an 8/8 angel. That's the big one. Flying, vigilance, indestructible. Other permanents you control have indestructible. Okay, so that one, yeah, you can Voltron it, but really in there to just help protect everything. You want to get her on the board, and now you're able to just do kind of whatever you want. We have 4 other creatures in the deck that aren't really meant to do any Voltron strategy with, but they're kind of just utility. We have Giver of Runes, 1 white for a 1/2 core cleric. You can tap Giver. Another target creature you control gains protection from colorless or the color of your choice until end of turn. So great protection. Sakura Tribe Elder, 1 and a green for a 1/1 Snake Shaman. Sacrifice Sakura Tribe Elder. Search your library for a basic land card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Ramp, great ramp. Shimmer Mirror, 3 colorless for a 2/2 mirror, has flash. You may cast artifact spells as though they had flash. This one's really important for all of your equipments or any of the other artifacts. We're running a lot of artifacts here. 20 to be exact. Then we have Dauntless Escort, 1 green-white for a 3/3 Rhino Soldier. Sacrifice Dauntless Escort. Creatures you control gain indestructible to end a turn. So that's another form of protection, because you really don't want to be getting whoever your commander or your Voltron creatures, whoever you're pumping up with all these artifacts. You don't want them to just fall by the wayside to any removal spell. Next, we'll talk about some other like huge creatures that we have. Rurik Thar the Unbound, 4 red green for 6/6 Ogre Warrior, has Vigilance, has Reach. Rurik Thar the Unbound attacks each turn if able. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, Rurik Thar deals 6 damage to that player. Okay, so this is a big, mean creature. Kind of outside of the Voltron strategy, but it kind of works in this deck. And really, kind of a lot of cards that are in here came from the pre-con Open Hostility, where Saskia came from. She was the face for Open Hostility in 2016. 2 others, Stonehoof Chieftain, 7 and a green for an 8/8 Centaur Warrior, has Trample, has Indestructible. Whenever another creature you control attacks, it gains Trample and Indestructible till end of turn. That's great for your Voltron creature, whoever it is trying to attack. Next we have Primeval Protector, 10 and a green for a 10/10 Avatar. I mean, I know that sounds really expensive, but check it out. Primeval Protector costs 1 less to cast for each creature your opponent controls. Your opponents, not one particular opponent, everyone. So if there are huge go-wide strategies, this is going to cost a lot less. Don't worry about the casting cost. When Primeval Protector enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on each of the creatures you control. That's not as important because, I mean, you really don't have that many creatures to begin with, so it's not terribly important. But it's good to have another counter. Let's see. There's one other creature in this deck, and I like it. That's the only reason it's here. Everyone who plays against it definitely doesn't like it. No one wants this thing across the battlefield. That is Master of Cruelties. 3 black-red for a 1/4 demon. Master of Cruelties has First Strike, and he has Death Touch. Master of Cruelties can only attack alone, so lends itself to Voltron, if you will, but no equipment are going on this guy, unless it's to protect it. Whenever Master of Cruelties attacks a player and isn't blocked, that player's life total becomes 1. Master of Cruelties assigns no combat damage this combat. That's big time. So, 1, they have to block. They block, their creature dies. If they don't block, their life total goes to 1, and you can probably just kill them off later on. If you're using Saskia, she's already on the board, you chose someone, go ahead and hit that person, take them to 1, and then if you successfully hit somebody else, that person's dead. That player is already out of the game in a 2-turn swing. This strategy is really just to swing all out. We're trying to hit, and we're trying to hit hard. Okay, that's it for the creatures. Let's see what we got as far as enchantments. Okay, so we're running 8 enchantments in this deck, 3 of which are dedicated towards the Voltron strategy. We have Hydra's Growth from Theros Beyond Death, the newest set. It's an 2 and a green for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. When Hydra's Growth enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on enchanted creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, double the number of 1/1 counters on enchanted creature. That's just going to get big and nasty as time goes. Eldrazi Conscription is a tribal enchantment. It's an Eldrazi aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +10/+10 and has Trample and Annihilator 2. For those who don't know, whenever it attacks, defending player sacrifices 2 permanents. That's what Annihilator is. Huge damage coming through. True Conviction, 3 white for an enchantment. Creatures you control have Double Strike and Lifelink. That's great for what we're trying to do. A lot of times with Voltron, people will come at you because they know if they get hit by you, it's almost always going to be end of the game, for them at least. Have a couple other, I would call them utility enchantments. There's 3 of them here. Necrogenesis is a green and black for an enchantment. Has an ability you can pay to exile target creature from a graveyard. So you're dealing with other people's threats that they may or may not have in the graveyard if they're going with that kind of strategy. Then if you do, create a 1/1 sapling creature token. The token is just added benefit, but getting rid of a creature in a graveyard is definitely great. Everlasting Torment, 2 and a Rakdos hybrid mana for an enchantment. Players can't gain life. Damage can't be prevented. All damage is dealt as though its source had Wither. Wither is a source of Wither deals damage to creatures in the form of -1/1 counters. So you hit a creature, it gets a couple -1/1 counters for however much power your creature had, and they keep those counters. So it's kind of just like slowly killing off their creatures and make them smaller. Consulate Crackdown, 3 white for enchantment. When Consulate Crackdown enters the battlefield, exile all artifacts your opponents control until Consulate Crackdown leaves the battlefield. That's just killer. Sometimes a lot of people will run ramp in the form of artifacts. They'll run all kinds of utility. That is great to just like help you pad what you're trying to do and take away from what everyone else is. These last 2 enchantments are ramp cards. Land tax, 1 white for enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent controls more lands than you, which might happen, there's lots of ramp in Commander. You may search your library for up to 3 basic land cards, reveal them, and then put them in your hand. If you do, shuffle your library. Great ramp in white. And we have Smothering Tide, 3 and a white for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. If that player doesn't, you create a colorless treasure artifact token with tap, sack this artifact, add 1 mana of any color. I mean, it's not exactly ramp in the traditional sense, but you're getting tokens for them not paying for their card draw, and you're really getting the benefit kind of more than they are. We have 3 planeswalkers in this deck, and it's not really because we need planeswalkers. They're just kind of great for the strategy, I think. And I like them. I like planeswalkers. We have Vraska Golgari Queen, 2 black-green for legendary planeswalker. Vraska starts at 4 loyalty. First ability is a +2. You may sacrifice another permanent. If you do, you gain 1 life and draw a card. I have this in here so that we can sack the Sapperling tokens from Necrogenesis. Boom, that's great. That's great synergy there. Same colors, same kind of strategy going for drawing cards. Great. -3, destroy target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 3 or less. That is super great removal. Drop this, -3, something that's really being oppressive or anything that's hampering your strategy. Get rid of it. But we really want this card for its ultimate. -9, you get an emblem with whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. If that's not Voltron, I don't know what is. We have Ugin the Ineffable, 6 mana for a 4 loyalty planeswalker, has a static ability. It's new from the War of the Spark set, came out in 2019. Colorless spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Has a +1. Exile the top card of your library face down and look at it. Create a 2/2 colorless spirit creature token. When that token leaves the battlefield, put the exiled card into your hand. So that's card draw there and a creature. So you have something to help block while setting up for your Voltron kills, if you will. That's even great card draw, because then you can sack those to Vraska's +2 ability and get those cards. Also has a -3 destroy target permanent that's one or more colors. That's just very Ugin type of ability there. Last Planeswalker we have is Elspeth, Sun's Champion. 4 white for an Elspeth Planeswalker, has starting loyalty of 4. You can +1 put three white 1/1 soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield. More blockers, more ways to deal with anyone's attacks. -3, and this is the one that we really care about in this deck. -3, destroy all creatures with power 4 or greater. If you remember, Saskia is a 3/4, so she's not going anywhere unless she's Voltroned up, you know. She has an ultimate, -7. You get an emblem with creatures you control get +2/+2 and have flying. That's great. Doing a lot more work for whatever creature we want to get across. Next we have sorcery spells, 2 of which are ramp spells. We have Rampant Growth and Farseek. Rampant Growth, 1 and a green. Search your library for a basic land card. Put that card on the battlefield tapped, and search and shuffle your library. Farseek, 1 and a green. Search your library for plains, island, swamp, or mountain card, and put it on the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. Well, we're not looking for islands, but the others are great. And we have 4 other sorceries in this deck. Utility, in a way. First one here, Seize the Day, 3 in a red, is really for our Voltron creature. 3 in a red, untap target creature. After this main phase, there's an additional combat phase, followed by an additional main phase. And it has flashback 2 in a red. You get this, you pay 2 in a red from the graveyard, cast it again, and then it exiles after that. Hitting harder. You want to be getting more combat damage in. Next we have Deafening Clarion, 1 red, white for sorcery. Choose one or both. Deafening Clarion deals 3 damage to each creature, and creatures you control gain lifelink till end of turn. The lifelink is really where I want this, because I want to be gaining that life back. I know I'm going to be losing a lot of life, having a Voltron strategy, not having many creatures, you know, so we're going to be getting hit a lot. Gaining that life back would be great. Merciless Eviction, 4 white, black for a sorcery. Choose one. Exile all artifacts, exile all creatures, exile all enchantments, or exile all planeswalkers. When something's going on, board wipe. You know, if somebody's getting too crazy on one side of the battlefield, or you're ready to try and swing out and, you know, knock out all your opponents, or just one, what have you, you can easily get through if you get rid of all their creatures, or all their enchantments are messing up your strategy, anything of that sort. Last we have Exsanguinate, black, and X. Each opponent loses X life, you gain life equal to the life lost this way. So that's a big spell to put all your mana in and get all that life back and drain your opponents. And then you're free to swing in however hard you want after that. Next we have the instants. First we have Veil of Summer. Draw a card. If an opponent has cast a blue or black spell this turn, spells you control can't be countered this turn. You and permanents you control gain hexproof from blue and from black till end of turn. Great card. Fantastic card. Boros Charm. Red and white. Choose one. Boros Charm deals 4 damage to target player. Permanents you control gain indestructible till end of turn. Target creature gains double strike till end of turn. That's killer. So you can do final kill shot with the first mode. Permanents gaining indestructible is fantastic. Somebody's trying to deal with any of your creatures, and you just 2 mana, protect them. And the last one, target creature gains double strike till end of turn. That's really killer. You get a big flyer that has a bunch of equipments attached to it. You're hitting big time. Next we have Naya Charm, red, green, white. Naya Charm deals 3 damage to target creature. Return target card from a graveyard to its owner's hand, or tap all creatures target player controls. Abzan Charm, white, black, green. You choose one. Exile target creature with power 3 or greater. You draw 2 cards and you lose 2 life. Distribute 2 1/1 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures. That's just great utility as well. The last 7 instance cards that we have are all removal. Return to Nature, 1 and a green. It's another modal card. Destroy target artifact. Destroy target enchantment. Exile target card from a graveyard. Great card. Terminate, black and red. Destroy target creature. It can't be regenerated. Aura mutation. Green and a white for an instant. Destroy target enchantment. Create X 1/1 green sapling creature tokens where X is that enchantment's converted mana cost. So single target removal, but still great. You're definitely getting something out of it. You're getting rid of theirs and you're pumping your board. Artifact mutation, red and green. Destroy target artifact. It can't be regenerated. Create X 1/1 green sapling creature tokens where X is that artifact's converted mana cost. Same thing, just for artifacts. We have Crackling Doom, red, white, and black. Crackling Doom deals 2 damage to each opponent. Each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creature he or she controls. So deal with their big creature so yours can get in. Utter End, 2 white, black. Exile target non-land permanent. Getting rid of anything that's in your way. Last instant we have is Sylvan Reclamation. 3 green, white. For an instant, exile up to 2 artifacts or enchantments, and it has basic land cycling for 2. Basic land cycling is you pay 2, discard this card, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, and put it in your hand. And you want to be drawing cards, you can go ahead and throw that down. Next we're going to talk about artifacts in this deck. We have 3 that I consider utility artifacts. First, Manifold Key is 1 for an artifact with a couple abilities. You can pay 1, tap it, untap target artifact, or pay 3, tap it. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. That's really big for our Voltron creature. We have Crawl Space for 3. No more than 2 creatures can attack you each turn, each combat. That's great. You don't want to be getting knocked out before your Voltron can swing big time. Next we have Mystic Forge. It's a 4 casting cost artifact. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast the top card of your library if it's an artifact card or a colorless non-land card. You can tap it, pay 1 life, exile the top card of your library. All that lifelink that we were talking about earlier is going to help when you're paying to exile the top card of your library so you can get to your artifact equipments. We have 4 pieces of colorless ramp in this deck. We have Soul Ring, 1. You can tap it to add 2 colorless to your mana pool. We have Gruul Signet, casting cost 2. You could pay 1, tap it, add red and green to your mana pool, so color fixing there. Next we have Commander's Sphere, 3 casting cost. Tap it, add to your mana pool 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. You don't need any other colors other than that. You can also sacrifice Commander's Sphere and draw a card. Next we have Thran Dynamo. It's 4 casting cost. You could tap it, add 3 colorless to your mana pool. The fact that we are really trying to get our artifact on the battlefield and equipped to our creatures means we really want those colorless mana. These mana rocks here are going to help getting all those artifacts onto our creatures, all those equipments onto our creatures. We have 13 equipment cards. We have Colossal Hammer, 1 for an equipment. Equipped creature gets +10/+10 and loses flying. not a big deal. We're not worried about the flying too much, but we really need those mana rocks because the equip cost is 8. We have Darksteel Axe. It is indestructible. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. It has equip cost of 2. Blade of Selves, 2 casting cost. Equipped creature has Myriad, and that means whenever it attacks for each opponent other than defending player, you may put a token that's a copy of that creature onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking that player or a planeswalker he or she controls. Exile the tokens at the end of combat, and it costs 4 to equip that. That's big time. Another great card is Conqueror's Flail, 2 CMC. Equipped creature gets Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each color among permanents you control. As long as Conqueror's Flail is attached to a creature, your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. So that's great for making sure they're not messing with your stuff on your turn. For 2 casting cost and 2 equip cost, you at best could be giving it +4/+4. Swiftfoot Boots, 2 CMC. Equipped creature has Hexproof and Haste. Equipped for 1. Everyone knows that. That's a great card. Black Blade Reforged, 2 CMC. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control. That can get really big in an EDH game. Equip legendary creature for 3, or just equip for 7. You really want that to go on Saskia or any other legendary creature you control. 3 of our other creatures are legendary, so that would be great there. Sunforger, CMC 3. Equipped creature gets +4/+0, but also has pay red and white. Unattached Sunforger. Search a library for a red or white instant card with converted mana cost 4 or less, and cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then shuffle your library. Has equip 3. We know we have a bunch of red and or white instants. That's great for that. Sword of Sinew and Steel from Modern Horizons. 3 CMC. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from black and from red. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, destroy up to 1 target planeswalker and up to 1 target artifact. Equip for 2. Forebear's Blade, 3 CMC. Equipped creature gets +3/+0 and has Vigilance and Trample. Whenever equipped creature dies, attach Forebear's Blade to target creature you control. So this thing will just keep jumping around from creature to creature if they're dying. Equip for 3. Sword of Truth and Justice, 3 CMC. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from white and from blue. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on a creature you control, then proliferate. You can equip for 2. Next we have Hammer of Nazan, 4 CMC. Whenever a Hammer of Nazan or another equipment enters a battlefield under your control, you may attach that equipment to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has indestructible. Equip for 4. This card's great. You want this card on your Voltron creature as soon as possible, because then whenever you're casting other equipment spells, they're going straight onto that creature. Helm of the Host, 4 CMC for a legendary artifact equipment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of equipped creature, except that token isn't legendary if equipped creature is legendary. That token gains haste, equip for 5. So it's kind of expensive to just get out and then equip right away, but when you do, I mean, you're really going to want that. That's going to be dealing a lot of damage. We have one more equipment card. This isn't really necessary, but I had one. I went ahead and threw it in this deck. People don't like this. Next is Grafted Exoskeleton, 4 CMC for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has Infect. We all know what Infect does. It deals damage to creature in the form of -1/1 counters and to players in the form of poison counters. EDH is a win. Or, well, a win for you, but a loss for your opponents. Whenever grafted exoskeleton becomes unattached from a permanent, sacrifice that permanent. That will just get out of hand. So all of those want to go onto your creatures as soon as possible, hit really hard, and win the game through combat damage, preferably on Saskia, or if you have to go with any of the other creatures that lend themselves pretty well to Voltron strategy, then that's what they're there for. We're running 38 lands in this deck. There's utility lands, there's some fetch lands. I call them fetch lands. We're gonna start with that. There's 3 what I reluctantly call them fetch lands. There's obviously other actual fetch lands that could go in this deck, but I don't think this needs to get that big a bump. I have all the fetch lands. I just would rather have them in other decks. I have Evolving Wilds. You tap it, sack it, go to basic, and it comes in tapped. Terramorphic Expanse does the same thing. And we also have Corrosive Verge. It enters battlefield tapped. It can tap for colorless, so that's cool. Or you can pay to tap it, sacrifice Corrosive Verge, search your library for a forest card and a plains card, put them on the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. So pay 2, go get 2. It's great. A couple of utility lands we have. Blast Zone enters battlefield with a charge counter on it, and it taps for colorless. You can pay XX and tap it, put X charge counters on Blast Zone, and you can also pay 3, tap it, sacrifice Blast Zone, destroy each non-land permanent with converted mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on it. So charge Blast Zone up to wherever you want and destroy any permanent with that CMC. It's great. Reliquary Tower gives you no maximum hand size and taps for colorless. Karn's Bastion taps for colorless, and it also has pay 4, tap it, and proliferate. It's great. We're running 3 of the Hideaway cards, Hideaway lands. Mosswort Bridge, Spinerock Knoll, and Windbrick Heights has Hideaway. This land enters the battlefield tapped. When it does, look at the top 4 cards of your library, exile one of them face down, then put the rest on the bottom of your library. And each one has a condition that needs to be met. For Mosswort Bridge, it's green and tap. You may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if creatures you control have total power 10 or greater. Spinerock Knoll, red tap. You play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if an opponent was dealt 7 or more damage this turn. That's not hard, and neither is Mosswort Bridge with the 10 power. Windbrick Heights, white tap. You may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if you attacked with 3 or more creatures this turn. That might be a little difficult because we don't have as many creatures as most decks, but that Saproling, all those Saprolings that are getting created through Necrogenesis and Artifact mutation and Aura mutation can actually help this a lot. Go ahead and not pay the CMC of that spell that you hit away. We have 2 other lands here that I didn't really know where to call them, really. Command Tower taps for any color of your commander's color identity. Gruul Turf is a bounce land. It enters tapped, and when it does, you have to return a land card to its owner's hand, but you could tap it for red and green. We have a couple Pain lands, Cave of Koilos, Karplusan Forest. Both of them tap for colorless, but they also tap for their respective colors. Karplusan Forest is red or green, and Cave of Koilos is white and black. Both of them deal 1 damage to you for either of those colors. Silent Clearing from Modern Horizons, you tap it, pay a life, add white or green. So I kind of added in with those other 2 in that category. There's some check lands here. Dragon Skull Summit, Sunpetal Grove, Rootbound Crag. I threw Canopy Vista in there as well because it kind of does the same thing. But Canopy Vista enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basics, which we do, and we'll get into those in just a second. Next is our shock lands. We're running Stomping Ground, Godless Shrine, Blood Crypt, and Overgrown Tomb. Our last 2 lands are Grand Colosseum, that enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it to add colorless. You can also tap it to add 1 mana of any color and Grand Coliseum deals 1 damage to you. And Exotic Orchard, you can tap it, add to your mana pool 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. And then we have some basics. We're running 4 copies of Plains, Mountains, and Forest, and we're running 2 copies of Swamp. And we've already gone ahead and swapped out the Nyx lands from Theros Beyond Death in here just for a little bling. That's the deck, everybody. Really what you want to do is you want to get one of your Voltron-y creatures out, and you want to start pumping it with all your equipment cards, with anything that can get it across the board and hitting your opponents in the face for huge amounts of damage. Okay, everybody, that was the deck. If y'all like it, let me know on the Twitter. You can tweet the podcast at SA Magicians. We're on Facebook. Find us there. Just search Sunday Afternoon Magicians. You'll find it. Go check out other episodes of the podcast. We'll have a regular episode coming next week, and we'll see you then. Bye.